It is the podcast on a Tuesday on the 12th of November. Time is flying. Flying.
Blown.
Corey and I will be 36 in
Barreling
like
towards
10 days. And then that just rounds up naturally to 40, which my mom's already doing. And then she's just going to round it up to 50.
I can't.
She's already calling us 40. And it's 36.
36.
Technically, I'm 35.9.
Me and Heather just decided we don't feel a day over 22.
Yeah, and we don't look at it. You always looked at your parents and you were like, wow, they know everything. And now that I'm not a parent, but you're a parent, but we're the age of parents.
In my mind, my parents were always 36.
Mine was 42.
42?
Yeah, in the 40s.
Yeah.
I saw it in the 40s.
Yeah, I always thought late 30s.
So you are technically in your child's brain, your parents' age.
I know.
And then now you know your parents didn't know diddly squat.
Oh, then I still don't know anything.
There's a what? Diddly squat. For the proof. So let's jump into today's podcast. Do you want to tell us what this podcast is?
Welcome. Okay. Just kidding. Welcome to the Baking It Down with Sugar Cookie Marketing podcast. I love to bake, but while I'm baking, I got flour, I got butter on my hands. It's just in the kitchen. So I said to Heather, let's start a podcast that bakers can listen to while they're doing what they do, which is bake. So it's actually a spinoff from a group on Facebook called the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group. There is barreling towards, since we're rounding up numbers, 50,000 bakers in there.
Might as well round up.
Right? Yeah. If it goes against me, it can go for me. There's about 50,000 bakers in there where we pull topics, trends, things that we see people struggling with, people have questions about, and bring them to your ear holes each Tuesday around the same time. So this topic I think is a good one. It's more of a thought process than like actual like marketing facts.
Well, I think it's a good topic because as this is our Super Bowl season, we're in the middle of it. We're not even halfway through it, right? So orders are increasing, classes are increasing. That means problems will increase just by the nature of
the more you bake, the more you make, the more problems you'll take.
Yeah. And that L you'll take will be a rough one. So I was in the cookie college yesterday. One of the members was like, she's like, I started the Oopsie Fund when I joined the college. And I think she's been in over 6 months or something. And she was like, every order, I just allocate some of my profits towards this refund budget.
Yeah.
In the event that I'd ever need to use it. And she was like, it was an interesting mistake. She had put pink, she had really open design choices. The client was just like, here's the theme I want. So, but it was a gender reveal and she had added some pink cookies. Not knowing the gender.
Yeah.
And the client was like, the only thing I didn't want was pink or blue.
Yeah.
So she's like, I immediately refund her for those cookies or whatever the choice of refund was. And she's like, it was so great because it was without even a second pause. I was able to say, hey, my bad, here's your money back. And I said, isn't it so relieving to not even be like having to
fight for it or to be like, well, you didn't tell me, I didn't know.
And then so she was able to do that because it's just the nature of how many orders we're getting. And then the type of people, typically if you have somebody who only orders at Christmas time, they're very involved in the order, right? Because this is a gift. This is something they're taking to somebody's house likely, and they're very particular. And the ordering process, if you don't have it really dialed in, it just, you say when people keep changing things at the end, it muddles what
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got one of those clients.
Right. So problems will happen. So Corey wanted to talk about the 5 ways to disarm a client, and then she wants to call the podcast something that my ex would tell me constantly. You've been seen, you've been heard, you've been understood. I almost think there's another podcast that has this name.
I'm sure.
You really like that phrase.
I'm sure.
The funny part is when my ex said it, he'd never change anything. I was just seeing her and understood for that one event. So here is, and then Corey thought 5 ways to disarm a client, make everything start with D.
Yes.
She had a lot.
Look at us being creative on a Tuesday.
Your first one is dispel their worry.
The problem is a client's reaching out to you not because they just want to chit chat with you. There's typically a problem, and a lot of times people don't want to raise their hand because they don't want to get chastised, beaten down. So they'll be like, I just wanted to let you know.
I think we should see clients that are willing to do outreach before the bad review as being gracious. Not as being complainers, but rather being someone who's like...
giving you the opportunity to...
Because a lot of times when you get the bad review, you'll say, I see the reviews and I see the replies. Well, I wish you just would have reached out. And when the clients do, we need to not penalize that by creating our defensive barrier to them, but rather say, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to get in front of this. and to dispel kind of their anxieties.
I like to honestly give them a pat on the back. Thank you so much for caring about my business as much as I do.
Yeah. But I know people are saying, don't apologize, don't say you're sorry, admit no guilt, you're never wrong. And I do not, somehow, someone said the twins say, don't say sorry. I say you're sorry and then ask what the problem is.
It's because it's not sorry that you didn't do something wrong. You don't have to apologize if your calendar's booked. You can, but it's not technically you didn't do anything wrong.
I think that kind of misnomer got, don't say you're sorry for what you didn't do wrong, but say you're sorry that someone had an experience that wasn't up to what they expected. Mm-hmm. So you may not have done anything wrong and still miss the mark in someone's expectations.
I want to say customers that give you the opportunity to reach out to you are honestly better than customers like me and Heather. Me and Heather will never reach out to you, but we'll also never buy from you ever again. So it's a closed lead. Like we're lost in the sauce. You'll never reach us. I'll never buy from you again, but I also never let you know that I was unhappy because I don't like to be the squeaky wheel. So the people that reach out, it is annoying because you're like, oh, someone else is reaching out. They're so annoying. But they're giving you the opportunity to make it right so they can potentially order from you again in the future.
Right. Yeah. And that is so right there. So somebody's already reaching out to you. They have put on their big girl panties and written an email or sent the text or made the phone call. So dispel their worry. What they don't want. So remember, they're already upset at this point. For the next 5 Ds we're going to get through, they're already an upset client.
I want to say not even if it was a level 1 through 5, they're level 1.
This could take a level 1, take it back to a level 2.
Yeah.
What you do here when they first come a knocking is going to dictate, and you'll see, sometimes in the Cookie College where we can get a little bit more into the threads. I'll tell somebody, you've already passed level 1. We're just trying not to get to level 2 at this point. Your immediate gut reaction where you didn't think and you just typed whatever your emotions were has closed the door on making this any less.
Right.
Now we need to not make this more. So that first line of defense is going to dispel the worry. Thank you so much for coming to me. Like Corey said, I appreciate that you care about my business. Thank you for letting me get ahead of this.
Yeah.
And then you're going to try to find that resolution. Yeah. I did like, Corey and I are kind of like just refund, just get it out of the way. But someone said if you're kind of shy on the full refund, say, what can I do to make this up to you?
Honestly, if you give them the option,
they're not going to ever say a full refund.
Give me all my money back.
Right. If you made a mistake on 2 cookies out of 12, likely, even if they say 50%, they didn't ask for their whole refund back. Someone had made a post, I think they had later deleted it, but they said that the client was asking, the cake topper had torn, and the client was asking for the refund of 45%.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, they're not even coming at half off. They're not even, I said, even if, the baker didn't want to refund anything more than 10%. Yeah. But I was like, even if you met them halfway, you're still, if your costs are correctly baked into this, you're hardly touching your margins.
Right.
Like you're not even losing on this, but the client could be happy. Of course, I can't do anything. So they had torn past dispel their worries. So they were already, gearing up for the negative review. But if we can dispel their worries and say, hey, I got you. Let's make this right. What can I do? You got Corey and me who are like, hey, full refund, my bad, just because we don't like that anxiety. Or you have the other people who are like, what can I do to make this right for you? And you'll see that the client likely likes you. They love that you're going to do right by them and will do something that's fair to both of you.
Yes. I like when it's teamwork, effort. What can I do? What can I do to make this up to you? And now it's a teamwork coming to the solution together. Because honestly, they're not going to want you to be broke. I've never had a client who's like, I would like your business to shut down.
Yeah. Corey and I have had an issue with a company we work with, like a commercial provider for our business. And they made what I consider a pretty giant mistake. And at first I had to say, listen, I need somebody to apologize. Because this is clearly a giant error on your end.
They were approaching it as a sweep under the rug type of deal.
Yeah, that I wouldn't have noticed. And I guess if I don't shine a light on our giant mistake, maybe the client, maybe Heather and Corey won't notice. But I did notice it, and I was like, I need someone to take a little bit of accountability here. But it was like nobody wanted to say, I'm really sorry we messed up. Then I was like, hey, I said, I hate that I even have to ask for this, but I think there needs to be some kind of recourse on your all's end. I don't want a full refund. I just want you to make it whole. I just want you to acknowledge that the fees you charged and the service you didn't provide, just refund the fees, not refund your whole entire service. And again, just dragging their feet. Now I said, well, I'm not one to nurse a grudge, but you're getting me really close here.
I mean, they've done everything that made us feel red flagged, unheard, ununderstood.
Yeah, they should listen to us podcasts because they're about to hear from a lawyer now, because I just don't feel like I was done right. I wanted to find that compromise. I don't want to take food off their table, even though they took food off my table. Let's find a halfway point.
Right.
And I wasn't given that. And now, it has fired me up to kind of, because I don't trust what their next recommendation is. They didn't do right by me. Why should I trust them now? So when you tell the client, like, hey, I want to make this right for you. I've got your back in the event you're not happy. So you'll have the other side of the coin here, is that some clients, some people in general, are just squeaky wheels to see what they can squeeze out of everybody. Mm-hmm. There are times where refunding that person and then blacklisting them may be your only option to get out of this safely. Yeah. Yes, there are people like that. I don't think they're the large majority. I think they're the really, really loud, very, very small minority. Mm-hmm. And we always get bad apples. It's going to happen. But in that instance, again, the refund and the runaway after the refund may be your best bet. So yes, there's not a perfect, every client has our best interest in mind. But I think, and I always take the poll every year, how many orders have you refunded? The average is less than one order per year. So I would say that most of our clients are probably just trying to get cookies. Corey has the next one. Deter anger before it starts. Refund policies and reviews are a great way to do that. Like I said, I think in last week's podcast, what was that? Harris Teeter? Has a 200% refund on rotten fruit. Yeah, they do. So to deter the anger, deter being the decoy one, to deter the anger before it starts means that even if I'm not happy, you're going to, I think you have a refund policy like that.
I say if you're 100%, I said 100%, if you're not happy, I want you to keep the cookies, keep your cash due. 0 people have taken me up on it.
Someone had messaged the Cookie College and they said, hey, I actually do drop cookies. I see this is more centric to sugar cookies. Would this work for me? And I was like, hey, listen, I 100% believe it worked for you since it's mostly just marketing. Mm-hmm. Sign up. If you don't like it, 100% refund. Mm-hmm. And my apologies for even having it, you make an account. Because what you want to say is, like, before you even get mad, you will not have to get mad. And that is going to disarm a client, because they know if I even get mad, and I don't get mad, but if I get mad, these people have my back.
Right. You feel like it's same team, same sides.
And you don't have that people are like, what's your budget? What's your, right. So you have that deterring it before it starts. So presenting the refund policy. Now I see how some folks write refund policies, and it's very much like, you are liable. You are going to be left in the dark. You're going to be left outside in the cold. I won't have to do that. It's very that confrontational way. If you look in the cookie group, we crowdsourced a cookie contract and we wrote them in ways that were a little bit more amicable.
And if you were looking for it, just search #cookie contract and it'll show up.
Right. So I think that writing your refund policy very in favor of the client is a great way to get in front of any problems, because likely, and if you think back to it, how often do you have problems?
Right. Not
very rare. So if you do, I've got your back. I will be your defense attorney against myself. Yeah. Like, we will win this.
It's me and you against the company.
Yes. And so I think that refund policies, and then having really great reviews. Now I saw this the other day on Facebook when I logged in. It was like, just so you know, any reviews you leave on Facebook business pages can now be sucked into ads that the pages run. So reviews are being prioritized yet again, and are a great social signal that people enjoyed that. And I know it's like, well, you can buy reviews and reviews are biased. We can't help it though, as people, to find that other people enjoying a product means it's a safe place to be.
I will read a review, and I know it's fake.
I know. And then really, when something has 4.5 stars, sign me up. Mm-hmm. I know, it's really good. So getting ahead of deterring anger before it starts with really fair, really generous refund policies is going to really help people not get angry, because they know in the event I'm not happy, this baker has me covered.
Yes.
Next one, Corey said, this is a D. She had to add 2 Ds for this one. Do not be defensive.
The problem with defensiveness, and it's so normal to go to that first, because you want to be like, I did take 100% of the time with your order that I've taken with other orders. People love the taste of my cookies. I did do this. I did read what you said. The problem with defensiveness is, if you're defensive, they instantly only have one option, and it's to defend now themselves and their opinions that they had stated to you. Right. And it's so hard to take an L, especially if you really truly feel like you did not do anything wrong. But here's the problem. Once you are defensive, then they're going to bring out, well, I did find a hair in it, to be quite honest with you. It's because they feel like they're pushed back into a corner that they have to defend themselves, and you've left them with no option but to defend themselves. So the thing is dispelling when they reach out to you, instead of getting defensive, instead of emailing back like lightning fast before you've had the chance to like dissect and diagnose this issue is to not be defensive.
Defensiveness is a form of anger.
Yeah.
And I've heard that anger is the emotion that covers the true emotion. Yeah. So I don't think I'm good enough. And now you're telling me, and I'm mad that you said what I thought that nobody knew, but I thought was my personal secret.
Yeah. Instead of saying, I 100% gave you as much time as I do my other orders. I'm so sorry you didn't think I gave you as much time as I do with my other orders.
Don't say you're sorry. Again, that's not, please, that was me being sarcastic. Yeah. I do agree. If somebody feels like you didn't give them enough time, and this is what I always say, how they feel is 100% right. It does, but two people can say the opposite things and both be right. And that's what makes this so confusing to manage, because Corey can say, well, Heather, you didn't give me enough time. And I'm going to say, but I gave you as much time as I give everyone else. She still feels like she didn't get enough time, regardless of what I feel that I give all my other clients. So I need to acknowledge that she feels that way. And then we can address it. When you start getting defensive, when you start listing, this is what I always tell people, especially in the Cookie College. When you give people a list of reasons why they can't be mad at you, they create a list that starts with, I found a hair in it.
Yeah.
People who want to have the right thing done by them will not stop until it happens, or they will stop and you'll get a bad review, right? So the energy has to go somewhere. You can either absorb it, and that's the great business approach, is absorbing that energy before it becomes a bad review.
Right.
The even worse than a bad review is a community group post.
Because those can trend.
Those ones trend. People can weigh in.
Yeah.
Judge, jury, and executioner. Everyone's playing that in the comment section. You're so defensive. When people are really defensive, it sounds like they're hiding stuff. Now, there is a way to defend yourself that almost disarms the bad reviewer while still standing for yourself, while still looking at like a good business. Yeah. That's hard to do.
It is. It's because it turns out to he said, she said.
Yeah.
And
she said.
And it's hard to, unless there's facts, like here's at the end of the day, we don't want to look like a very defensive business. It makes it look bad to others, even looking on. We don't want to attack the character of the person that had a bad experience with us. It makes you look cringe.
You can do it. You can the art form at which to be able to accomplish that is almost out of most of our reaches. So I wouldn't even challenge you to try it.
Yeah.
In our local community foodies group, there was a lady, and she had said, do not go to this place that's sold some kind of shellfish, a restaurant, because it's not very fresh food, and the doctors that I work with don't like it. It was a very odd review.
Yeah.
So the review section was already like, why do we care what the doctors eat? And then the business owner chimes in, and it was like, I think the lady's name was Nancy, whatever he called her. And he was like, you called the other day and we told you that we couldn't provide you with the service you requested. You have been a loyal client, but just turning around and writing a bad review because you didn't get your way. And I was like, he went about it the right way. Now, what people did is they went back to this lady's post in the group and found out she had actually left them a bunch of great reviews, but when she didn't get her way, turned around and completely lambasted them.
And at the end of the day, you're like, that's not right. The business owner. Here's the thing. A lot of people, especially in today's day and age where social media is so quick.
Your opinion matters.
All you need to do, most people are doing is reading, forming an opinion, and scrolling. They're not doing half as much research as maybe you would, or I would, or the people in that post would. They're seeing, don't go to this company, don't order from this person, and that's where they're forming their opinion. The problem is when the engagement happens on that post and the post gets legs, starts crawling,
when it starts learning how to run and you're so defensive. If you're not very adept at that kind of nuanced conversation around bad reviews, you're going to look like a person who's trying to bog down the person with the honest experience, because you're biased. At the end of the day, you're biased. You don't want to give a refund, and that it's your business, and that you're always going to parrot that it's the best place in the world.
And a lot of times on those comment sections, it's the business owner is going toe to toe, but you're giving that post so much more.
You're helping it trend.
You're helping it trend.
Right.
And I mean, I'm the person that will stop what I'm doing.
Oh,
expand
I will
that
run
comment
to
section.
my microwave. I will, comments of a subthread of a comment.
Oh, yeah, please. Thank you.
So really try not to be defensive. It's not a good look when you're a biased business. And by the nature of what we're doing here, we're all biased towards ourselves. We're not going to be the first to lambaste ourselves.
For sure.
So that person's like, well, I gave them money in exchange for this service, and now they don't want to give me my money back, but I didn't like the service. That's why, again, dispel their worry at the beginning. Get in front of this before once it becomes a community group post, you're in pretty hot water.
You are praying that the comment section goes your way, or the post doesn't grow, that something else is trending before you.
If you're on TikTok, there is the queen of afternoon tea.
Listen, I can't tell you.
I love watching it. I think I need to go to an afternoon tea. But she had to put in front of her videos now, just because I had a bad experience, do not write reviews for businesses you did not go to.
I know.
And that's so dangerous because we all have the ability now to leave reviews, even for businesses we have no experience with. And that's what happens in those community group posts. Is somebody, the writer, the OP, original poster, has so much fervor that they get other people to leave these bad reviews. I can see kind of happen in our sugar cookie marketing group. Someone will have a bad experience with a vendor unrelated to the group, but try to get that group to turn on.
I know.
Once I was in a car forum and somebody had a bad experience with like a tire company, and someone's like, "This is not your internet army. We don't know what happened, so we're not going to win." But a lot of groups don't operate like that, so it's very dangerous in terms of, I'm going to say, if you're not going to follow any of these D's and you're going to end up in a community group, turn off your reviews.
Turn off your reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can't do that on Google. So you're running a risk here.
I know. It's so risky. And I want to say, like, for people, you're like, well, they'll see my other reviews. A lot of times, that's what we hope for. But a lot of times, people are scrolling by and they'll look for that star rating. And if it's a 2.5, it's a 3-star, you do lose business from that, because people are, the way that we consume media, social media, is so quick nowadays.
They said your brain has seconds to choose between yes and no.
Right.
So we absorb all these little tells, and then we're like, okay, well, then it's going to be a no. If I had to buy somebody a gift for Christmas and it has terrible Amazon reviews, I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, I'll order and then I'll return it. Let me research what the return policy is. I'm going to say, that many people don't like it, then something's wrong. I'm going to keep going.
I would say, maybe years ago, people would take more time. Now you can form your opinion so fast and find something comparable to take the place of whatever you were considering.
Yeah. So again, we do not want to get, if all the gates have failed and now we feel like we have to be defensive, another gate's about to fail. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So you got to say, how am I coming? What's the energy? If you can, what you can do now, you can ask ChatGPT, here's what I'm about to reply. Do I come across as defensive? And it will give you an honest feedback off of what it thinks you're saying, how you're speaking, your tonality.
Sometimes when I send you an email now, I got Gemini in my Gmail on you. And I'll be like, what does it think that I'm saying here? So I'll be like, can you tell me what this email's about? Like what it's going to think? I'll be like, it thinks you're telling Heather she's doing something wrong and that she needs to take some time to learn. You're not wrong. There you go.
Send. So, and Grammarly actually has the AI will read what you write and it will tell you what it thinks your temperament is. Yeah. If it thinks you're too formal or if it thinks you're too angry, it'll even add a little emoji and it'll be like, you've gone too far. So I ask yourself, am I being defensive? Is my defensiveness, even if I need to defend myself, is it disarming? Is it quelling this emotion, or is it adding fuel to a fire? Because there will be a fire you can't put out.
It's so easy to say, well, imagine you had a bad service at the restaurant you went. You would want someone to make it right. But we get...
No, I wouldn't. I would never ask for it. I would never leave a bad review, and I would tell them they were the best.
But I don't know what it is about the pancakes you were delivered that were cold is different from the cookies that missed the mark. But we're so overly passionate about these little bakes that we make that we lose sight that you were mad at IHOP for the cold pancakes a week before.
I think it's kind of when people view cookies as artwork, which I always tell Corey, don't view it as artwork, view it as a product, because once you say it's art, then everything becomes relative.
Yeah.
It becomes subjective versus objective. When you buy a shirt from Target and it doesn't fit, well, I'm returning it because it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Okay, but somebody's like, I bought a cookie for her and it doesn't fit what I wanted, so I'm returning because it doesn't fit. Well, no, it's art. I spent hours on this. This was perfect compared to what I thought it should be versus what you thought it'd be.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always like, it's a skill set, but don't call it artwork, because then you will be defensive because you're defending what you believe is beautiful.
Yeah. And I want to tell you, each and every baker, we know you spend 1 million hours on it. I can understand why you get emotional over it.
Corey and I will even bring up I'll be like, look at this conundrum that this person's posted about. And Corey's like, that's so hard because what the client doesn't like is the smallest part of what is otherwise an excellent set.
Like sometimes I'm like, we're human beings, so not every cookie is identical to the same one in the set.
Right.
And I'm like, what if they see this one little smudging I did with this gold? Like, I hate painting gold.
Yeah.
It gets everywhere. It literally, my room is covered with gold by the end of it. But like, it'll be a little smudging on. I'm like, will they notice that? Like, what if the whole set is perfect except for that one little smudge?
So then you say, when they, like, I can't even remember what the instance was, but Corey's like, oh my goodness, it would be so hard for me to want to refund this. even though we know refunding it immediately gets them satiated, the client.
I know.
It dispels the energy there. But is it right? Is it fair to the baker? And it's a tough one. And these are very case-by-case instances.
I know. It really is. What's our next D?
Discharge.
Discharge.
You said this one.
You want to give anything legs. The thing is if you, when you, okay, say if we never get to level 5.
Okay.
We stay at level 1, get up to 2, come back to 1.
Great.
Discharge is, thank you so much for caring about my business. I truly appreciate the time you took out of your day to help me grow my business. I appreciate you. I hope I can earn your business in the future, or I hope you can find a better baker that fits what your needs in the future.
That's a great point. Sometimes I find that when somebody says, I'm unhappy with this, and you get a refund, the baker's like talks in a way that's so speaking down. Like you can tell that if they could say it, I would never given you this refund and I don't like you anymore. Yeah. Whereas Corey's saying like, still you're going to discharge, you're going to roll them off in a way that says, and I can't wait. And if you could give me another opportunity,
and that's if you want to work with them, and if you need to close that door.
To punish somebody for saying I'm unhappy with your service and I am exercising your refund policy, and to mistreat them, or you can mistreat them by saying nothing, but by being cold. That's a version of that. That's communicating without saying anything.
It's like coming from a, hey, yeah, so excited to bake your email, and then a response as per our last conversation.
If it starts with as per our last conversation, if it has a word thus and therefore, you are punishing them, but you're able to ethically say, I didn't say anything wrong. But your mood, your temperament, your lack of emotion, your lack of warmth is a form of communication.
The discharging, so they might have never made a review, but what you don't want them to do is be in the comment section of everyone asking for a baker and be like, I tried them and I didn't like them. Because that, at the end of the day, can hurt your business over years to come. They never went flat out and posted in a community group. They never left something on your review profile, but they'll always be like, I tried them and I didn't like them. And I see people do that. I'm like, wow, you've held a grudge longer
because
than
they never felt truly discharged. They never felt validated. They never felt.
They felt like they had a fight.
They had a fight. And I find myself, okay, so last year I sent that car off to this place. So everyone said it's the best place. I cannot bring myself, because I wasn't discharged with validation. Like he did say, I had to say like, hey, there's so many problems. I'm not really happy. I had to get another guy with the same car to help me write it, because I was like, I'm so unhappy. I'm worried that I'll come across as just even petty. Yeah. And, he was like, well, you should I had an expectation sending here, and I hope we can resolve this by meeting the reputation for which you're known for. So I'm even having to ask them. Please fix this. So they barely fixed it. And again, I was never told like, we're so sorry.
It's almost like they wanted you to disappear.
Yeah. And
you felt
emotionally.
You felt that. Yeah. And it's almost created this grudge inside of you that you'll never recommend them. I know you never will.
I haven't publicly ever lambasted them. They do have a lot of fanboys, but I've gone out of my way to recommend anybody but them. Yeah. In fact, I'll tell you 5 shops between me and them that I think you should take your vehicle to.
And that's what you want to. People are coming to your business because they want something. They think you are talented. They love that about you. Sometimes we do miss the mark, whether it be the specific colors. And a lot of times, if we know the colors are a little off, we know that. Mm-hmm. When they say it to us, we're like, oh, well, it was pretty close. Mm-hmm. But, at the end of the day,
I can't perfectly color match.
You're right. But to discharge them instead of being like, we will no longer be the baker for you, that's not a good discharge. A good discharge is seeing, hearing, understanding, and then releasing them back into the world. Like, even though there's a bump in the relationship between you and them at this point, it doesn't need to be the grudge that they make their business for the next 5 years.
Right. And you control how that goes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot about how you word it. Back to that commercial that they're our vendor. I was like, hey, I'm not trying to drag you over the coals here. I understand we get busy. Yeah. I'm in business too. There's a lot going on, but I'm going to need something. I'm going to need give me something. I want an apology, which I hardly got. So again, they didn't just start. Now I can feel that feeling. Yeah. Where I'm like, right. I'll have to.
It's growing inside you.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I know.
What we don't want, I always like to tell people, is the sweetest part of this entire event should be the cookies. So I'm going to make sure that I'm your least worrisome person.
And if there is a worry, the refund is going to come at you so fast it'll make your head spin. I got your back.
Like, the customers I have today, it's a mom and daughter duo. I can tell these cookies and cake pops they ordered are the biggest part of this event for them.
You can tell it's the highest part of the budget.
And you know what? And they're treating, I can tell I need to go gently and confidently and holding their hands through the process. I also have another order, and me and her have talked once in a month. So it's totally different. So you can match the energy of the people that you know are going to need it. So if I feel like the lady that's so worried about these cookies, I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to confirm with you. We're going with this color palette. This is the stuff you sent me. Here's the name on the cookies, because she needs that. She needs that. So we're doing this order together, almost hand in hand. Whereas the other lady, not so much. She could care less.
Right. Don't punish the could care less lady, because
I know.
Me and the quiet ones, we just hope you're doing what you said you're doing.
But you can feel as soon as I get that original, that
initial
inquiry, I can tell what kind of client it's going to be and how I need to match the energy. If someone's super worried about every aspect, you're going to need to be in there holding their hands, giving them that, I'm here with you. We're going to do this together. Like the lady this week showed up she wanted these honey dippers, but she showed up and she literally reset everything we had already talked about in the email. And it's because she's so worried. Which is totally fine. And I need to match that energy, and I need to be there for them along the road, make sure everything is tip-top shape so I can avoid that asking for the refund. We're not happy, because I can set myself up for success. I can set myself up for failure.
What Corey wouldn't want to do is have this client where she's held her hand the whole time. And let's say this client's like, well, when I'm not happy with something, and Corey suddenly just abandons her and says, now, instead of us being in the same team where I've been holding your hand, it's me against you. Because that person was going to be a higher maintenance client, and you need to be a higher maintenance business when it comes to any issues.
What's so funny is Heather took the fam out to this place called Capitol Grill. On this weekend.
Yeah, I had this random idea. This would be if I had a twin twist. I said, you read all these books and they're like, buying stuff isn't happiness. Experiences and relationships are the definition of happiness. So I was like, well, for my birthday this year, instead of buying stuff, of which I'll have to declutter, let me buy an experience for everybody and take them out to this nice dinner. I'll just foot the bill. My parents included. My dad usually pays the family dinner bill. So I thought it was nice.
It was very nice. But here's the difference. When we got home, my husband is like, if he can squeeze a dime, he'll make 11 pennies. He does not believe.
I've never heard that phrase before, but I love it. I will be using it too.
He does not eat out at all. So he was like, he made us steaks last night, not being mean to you or anything. He was like, how is this any different than what we experienced on Friday? And I said, here's the thing. I said, where's my hot towel? Where's my refill of Diet Coke?
At the end of each portion of the meal, they came with hot towels. And I was like, this is my dream.
You guys are the steakhouse of the cookie world.
Yes.
If I wanted to, I could go to Target, get those pre-done ones that are already, and that is eating at home. But when
it's everything else. It's still a consumable. It's still food. Absolutely. It's still a cookie. But now we have
steakhouse. They're giving us hot towels before our main course.
You know it's going to be a vibe when the sauce is dripped with a pattern.
Yeah.
When it's not just ladled on there.
When they bring you your happy birthday and it's been icing scraped onto the plate. So that's what it is Heather had an expectation of the customer service that was going to be present at this grill. And it was that and beyond. They were amazing. They were attentive. They listened. They brought you everything. And that is what you guys are doing with these very expensive cookies. It's not just the product. It's this whole thing that's wrapped around it. If I would have the steak, my husband ordered $95. If he would have been like, I don't like the way it's cooked, 100%, I would think they would have absolutely taken that back and said, we'll bring you a new one.
I think the man would have crawled on all fours back to the kitchen and said, I think
he would have breathed his hot air on it to cook it a little bit more. I'm so sorry. Here it is.
That sounds disgusting. I think he would have done everything in his power. I think he would have been like, I'll buy the replacement.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And that's the experience. People can get cheaper cookies from Target, from Walmart. Those are always options. You are
customer service.
Yeah.
The booking, to be able to book the private room, the way that the lady took they followed up with me. They gave me so many options. That is the cookie, the sugar cookie baker in a world of Oreos.
Yeah. And while you are rolling the red carpet out at the initial inquiry, that same red carpet feel needs to be the thing that's rolled out when you have an issue.
Yes,
absolutely. Because if Heather paid for this private room. And then she was like, yeah, you know what? The temperature's kind of cold. And they're like, I'm so sorry. We can't do anything
Like,
for
what
you.
if they weren't, every problem I had wasn't treated with the same energy of taking money?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been really upset by it. Because I would have been
you would never have gone back. Or you would have been like, hey, here's my experience with the Capitol Grill. They didn't listen to me for this.
They were so fantastic that as soon as I got home, left them a 5-star review.
And that's the great part about it.
Right.
If something would have gone wrong, Heather felt confident they'd have fixed it. But everything did go right.
Like I said, because it was a private room, you had to reach a room minimum, which is why Nate had to order that steak. Because if they said, whatever you don't spend, we absorb.
Yeah.
But then it became the wait staff and the private room lady on our side. And they were like, we're not going to let you waste any money on a room fee. The man boxed up to-go stuff. He was like, I can make the to-go steaks match your
Absolutely.
leftover budget.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's the experience that people want. These cookies are expensive. I mean, people are charging $10 a cookie. I would expect a little bit of same cider.
Imagine a $10 cookie and the refund policy of like, what's a really terrible place you don't want to return anything? McDonald's? I don't know. I feel like McDonald's will even be better.
Yeah.
Imagine that you are the steakhouse, but when you want to send it back, they're like, no, it's good. You should eat it. And it's disgusting that you'd even send it back.
I know.
Yeah, like a Mean Girls thing. Our final D, when in doubt, do it like Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is very fantastic when it comes to problems like this. They have an acronym that they teach called HEARD, H-E-A-R-D. I actually learned this from a member of the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group who works for Chick-fil-A. Hear, empathize, apologize, resolve, and then this is my favorite part, delight. So they hear what your issue is. They empathize. I'm so sorry that would, I hate that you didn't get your salad either. And I, apologize. They resolve it. Here's the salad you wanted. And the other day, I didn't even have a problem. They were just taking too long for the food, so they asked me to pull the cart forward, of which I was going to be on my phone either at home or in that parking lot, so no big deal. But when they came out with the food, which probably took maybe 10 minutes, which is unlike Chick-fil-A,
right? They
said, here's a $5 gift card.
Wow.
And that's the delight.
And you know what? You weren't expecting it.
No.
You didn't deserve it.
I actually didn't ask for any of the apologies, but they were and that's why you always have, like, Chick-fil-A is the poster child of great customer service because they operate off of this hear, empathize, apologize, resolve. So not only did you give the refund, you've gone an extra step and you delighted the client.
And which that has done is Heather might have been like, well, that 10 minutes, now I'm late for my appointment or whatever, because they brought her out something when she didn't ask for it and she didn't have to raise a ruckus to get it. Heather will be going back to Chick-fil-A.
You bet $5. That was the thing, is because it's one thing to be made whole.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be made whole and then some.
Yeah.
The made whole, I still had the bad experience. The made whole and then some, I'm going to talk about the and then some.
Oh, yeah. A year ago, I had a corporate order, and unfortunately, I had used my dehydrator, and a lot of them probably 5 of them had taken home in the back of the dehydrator. I did not see them. So the customer was like, hey, I asked for 100 cookies. There's 95 here. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'll make them and I'll bring them tomorrow to your thing. I'm so sorry. A year later, she orders from me again. So just this couple months ago. And I gave her a dozen for free. I said, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity a year later, even though I messed up. And she's like, when I gave her the dozen for free, granted, it wasn't great to give it for free. It didn't feel great. She's like, you will be my cookie baker.
See? And okay, that's a great example. Well, you made a dozen cookies for free. You probably lost on that order, but she's looking at the long game here.
Yeah.
Is I may have lost on that order twice, right? Because the first order you had the issue. Did you?
Well, here's the thing: they were Eddie, and it was 8 dozen. So I'm not going to lose regardless because the profit's
such high margins. Yeah. So it already starts with you got to charge enough. You got to charge enough that your apology still doesn't hit your margins. If you're operating off of razor thin margins and every refund is absolutely taking money off the food off your table,
1,000%.
You got bigger problems. You go 10 podcasts ago and raise your prices.
Yeah. It would have been hard if she ordered 1 dozen and I had to refund that 1 dozen, so I made 0. She had ordered 8 dozen. It's so much easier to refund 1 dozen when the profit's so much higher.
Right, the profit per cookie. So when Corey goes and gives that extra dozen, maybe like, like
I'm like, well, that's
she didn't even ask for that. I already did right, but I already did it. But Corey wants to secure an order of this again. Corey says, "I want corporate orders.
Do.
They make more money.
I want Eddie corporate orders, so I'm going to do everything I can to make you Eddie people happy."
Right. So now Corey's, apologized twice. She acknowledged, 12 months later, "Hey, I'm still sorry about that, and thank you for taking a chance on me again."
Yeah.
You would have me hook, line, and sinker. I know that humans are human.
I know.
And we're prone to mistakes. Yeah. But a human that's willing to acknowledge and do right plus some.
Yeah.
I would.
I didn't want to bring up I did not want to bring up the fact that I messed up a year ago.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. So I said, listen, Cheryl, I said, I've triple counted this year. I've thrown in a few extra and I'm giving you a dozen for free. I said, we are not going to have a rehab of last year. And she's like, oh my goodness, no, you made last year right. I hate bringing up when I'm wrong.
Who wants to?
But I said, she's taking a risk right now because last year I didn't land it so great. So this year, by going above and beyond, I've secured next year's order.
Ruth Ann, grandmother, you see her in those pictures from those giveaways that we've been doing for the Vendy Blending. She loves to apologize. She'll actually apologize for things she didn't do. And I tell her, I said, it's very easy to get along with you because if I'm not even feeling wrong, you will apologize. Yeah. And I said, if people could take a lesson from you, it would be that if they understood what their life would look like on the other side of I'm sorry, they would be saying it all the time.
The problem with it is people think if they say it, they're giving a part of themselves. Like they're giving you their right hand.
Because remember, you can be upset and right.
Yeah.
And I can be 100% opposite you and be right. Because I'm sorry is not, I'm sorry, now you're right and I'm wrong. It's, I'm sorry, your experience wasn't 100%, whereas I thought it was 100%. How can we get you to match me?
Yeah.
Like, how can we get us both to 100%? Right. Or maybe we need to be at 80 and 80. Like, maybe we need to come down.
Sure.
But it's not, I'm sorry, and you're 80 and I'm 20.
Yeah.
It's, I'm sorry, you're 100% and I'm not 100%. How can we get us closer to that?
Yeah.
And really being overly sorry. If you talk to somebody like me and you're like, overly sorry, I'm going to do my best to tell you it wasn't even a big deal.
Yeah, well,
don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it at all.
It's okay.
I actually like this. Turns out this is my new favorite meal that you accidentally brought me.
Right. Yeah. Put yourself in the shoes of what you'd want someone to do to you. If someone messed up your special day, if someone messed up your wedding day, your baby shower, how would you want it to be handled? Would you want to pretend like it didn't exist? No, that doesn't feel good. Would you want to have to pry a solution out of the person? No,
absolutely
that doesn't feel good either.
Would you want like, hey, I'm sorry and be made amends? Yes, but would we secretly love if someone's like, I'm sorry, I made amends and I'm going to make more amends than you even expected?
Yes.
Delectable. And that's the true business decision. I kind of find the person who's really resistant to apologies and refunds is the newer business owner who hasn't learned it yet.
And it's fair. And it's because everyone has been wronged by a business in some sort. Like whether it be IHOP and a pancake.
You and IHOP and pancakes, they do something to you.
Remember that one IHOP and I was like, everything's horrendous here.
Yep.
This is horrible.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just so easy to forget the times where we expected something because we're so emotional in our businesses. And that where you can separate emotion from business, like me and Heather say, like it's not emotional, it's just business. Yeah. It's so hard to do when you're just starting out because everything is so
ego driven. And I hate to say it's ego because I don't know that you see it as egotistical, but not being able to say I'm sorry is a form of ego. Like if I say I'm sorry, it means I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm good enough. Again, it traces back to that sign of ego. If I say I'm sorry and it touches my ego 0%, I'll be freely saying I'm sorry because it doesn't affect my self-worth, my interpersonal belief of what I'm worth in this world.
At the end of the day, when you follow all these steps and someone still is mad at you at the end of it, that is okay.
Yes. That's a great takeaway.
Is okay.
We will make people unhappy with us.
Yeah.
I was talking to the guy I was dating and I had a small argument and he was like, well, I just don't think relationships should have arguments. So I said, right there, relationships will always have arguments. It's that they have to resolve in the easiest possible. I said, but we're imperfect humans.
Yeah.
And we're not the same person. Yeah. Corey and I have arguments, and we are the same person all the time. Because we're just our perception of what you intended versus what I inferred were different. How can we get them better aligned?
You're going to say twins, I followed step 1 through 5, all the D's, seen, heard, understood. They still seem upset with me. That's okay. What you need to do is cover your bases. That's all you can control.
And now let them be human and let them have that. They're going to look back, and when they complain about you to another person, the other person's going to be like, well, it sounds like they did everything right by you.
Absolutely. Right. And at the end of the day, the only thing you can control is yourself. You can't control anything else. So if you're like, well, I still feel like they're mad at me, that's okay. That you've done everything you could.
Now maybe look interpersonally and why aren't you able to let it go when you've actually done everything correctly?
Yeah, right.
What self-doubts do you have? When you followed and you've done the extra step and you've given the extra dozen a year later, how come you can't forgive yourself? Right. You're human too. The guarantee is that we will make mistakes.
Absolutely.
We are not perfect. Our businesses are not perfect. How do you handle repairing mistakes is the true separating between the new business owner and the established business owner who will be in business the years to come.
My number one customer orders multiple times
I almost
a year.
think I knew this.
Huh? Her name?
Yeah.
She was from Kingstown.
Oh.
Yeah. I spelled her kid's name wrong. Erin. 2 A's.
Aaron.
Yeah, I spelled it wrong. I don't know what I did. I spelled it incorrectly. She was like, "Oh, everything's great except for you spelled my son's name wrong."
Oh, that will take you down.
At the end of the day, I could be like, "Oh my goodness, how dare you? I did my best."
Only refund for those too. Cookies.
Yeah, but because I was like, "Oh my God, I'm an idiot." She's ordered multiple times since I spelled her son's name wrong.
But you repaired it, right?
I repaired it because I'd send those photos before they pick up. So I was able to do it.
Oh, back to that, sending those photos at the beginning. So to recap what we did, 5 ways to disarm a client: dispel their worry, deter their anger before it starts. Refund policies and reviews are a great way to do that. Do not be defensive. Discharge them correctly and fairly and respectfully and appreciatively. They did fair by not reviewing you first. And then do it like Chick-fil-A heard. Hear, empathize, apologize, resolve, and delight. You follow this, and you will have clients that become lifelong fans.
Yeah. Even if you mess up, they'll still love you to death.
Because we all understand people mess up.
Yeah.
But how they mess up after, what the actions are after they mess up really could change someone to be a true fan.
Yeah, absolutely. A fan that will not stop talking about you.
Could you imagine? And I'm like, oh yeah, and then they messed up, and then because I tell that Chick-fil-A thing, I was like, yeah, they took forever, but then I got a free fry.
Yeah, you were delighted.
I've been still delighted. Now I'm like, sometimes like, why aren't you getting free fries? Just kidding. Okay, we got fan mail here. Thank you guys for texting in. You can either press that button on some podcast players or 571-556-5644. Text in, hi, so I was listening to episode 177 about marketing not working. What does campaign mean when it comes to marketing cookie classes? I don't yet have a consistent location to offer monthly classes, so I usually schedule one and give it your 6-week lead time. What would my marketing campaign look like? Does it mean I have to run a Facebook ad for 6 weeks at $5 a day? Because if so, there goes all my profit. And if I had one class a month, the ad budget would break me. I'm new and I'm making a ad $100 a month as I start up. Suggestions are welcome from Albany, New York.
Nice.
Campaign is the phrase used to describe the start and stop of a marketing initiative, right? So let's say our cookie class campaign. We have a December class. So the campaign would be everything associated with the promotion of that class. That could be a Facebook ad. That could be a newsletter. That could be social media posts. In fact, it's all of those.
Yeah.
If you're doing all of those. Now, it doesn't require that you have to do all of these. Typically, you'd find your secret sauce behind the campaign and you would run that every time you're starting this promotion. Yeah. So I'd say a 6 weeks runtime marketing campaign behind a cookie class, right? We do not run ads for our cookie classes because we've been doing them for so long and we sit so few people, we can sell them out.
Yeah.
Now we do prefer, okay, let's say if we're selling a class, 6 weeks marketing runtime, that's our campaign. From the day we start marketing to the day we stop is our campaign. And it was a hard to market class. You'll see Corey and I say, well, this will be a harder time. We'll assess this before the campaign starts. This will be a more aggressive campaign because it's in March.
Yeah. I want to say, can I, just because the Vendy Blendy's on the line.
Right.
It's on mind, I mean.
Is it on the line?
And it's on the mind. The Vendy Blendy is a case in point of what a marketing campaign looks like because we have to redo it every single year. Yeah. Typically, me and Heather start marketing in September, October for the Vendy Blendy in November. This year, it was different because it was going to be a harder thing to market, specifically for you who is doing these new classes. This year, we were asking Vendy's to do 25% off.
Harder product to sell.
So what we did is extended our marketing,
our campaign, so we could turn around and say to the vendors, while you have to give us more, you have to give us more of a discount, you'll get more of promotion from us because we'll be doing this longer than we were. So our campaign went from June is when we opened the group to 10, I think June 17th, all the way to November 29th. And I was able to say, based off of what our reach is today, here's how many people you could reach if you're willing. Yeah. So the campaign increased. Now the campaign hasn't had a Facebook ad until last week.
Yes. So here's the thing. When you're starting off with something new that your audience isn't used to, I started cake pops last year. Just now am I actually getting repeat cake pop orders. And that's because I had to show my audience over 6 months that, hey, here, I'm introducing something new. My campaign is a lot longer because it's something new. So when we say a 6 week campaign for your marketing. Typically, that's if you're offering a class and you've done classes before. If you're bringing something new to your market, you're going to have a longer thing because you got to show them, hey, this is something new. Here's why you want it. Here's what you're going to do to get it.
I can see that you're thinking campaign involves money. And when you don't have a budget to invest in ad spend, it's going to involve more time and no money. So time is money, yes. But instead of spending money in ads where it decreases your profit, you're going to spend that money in the time invested to promote it, especially since you yourself are new and classes are new. What you're going to do is you're going to, while I might be posting 3 times a week, you might be posting 3 times to your stories, 3 times to your feed, 3 times to your reels, 3 times to the event discussion section. You're going to be investing more time money versus maybe when you're more established, you can say, well, I don't like spending as much time. I'll let the ad handle the time and I'll just put the money behind it. So that is a great one. The fact that you're even making money is great.
Yeah,
the fact that you just get, they say businesses aren't profitable until the first 2 years have passed. So I don't even think it's sad that you're making $100. I think it's great that you're starting in this time where it is a very great time to generate.
Absolutely.
So now think about this. Well, if what I do today, this is an easier time to sell class tickets, get their email, because when it gets the harder time, the springtime, you're going to want to sell to these people. And you've already done the groundwork for that. Next up, hello, my name is Teresa, and I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller. Haha, throwback to the old radio days, showing off my age. First off, thank you for this awesome business you have. I'm so glad I found you, and I signed up for all things. Cookie College, Facebook group, podcast. It's good to have so many resources in my toolbox. I have a couple of questions. One, going back to the older podcasts, and given how fast technology and resources change, are there any podcasts that are obsolete? I want to listen to as many as I can, but I don't want to spend time on irrelevant ones. 2, talking about content buckets. This may be the dumbest question in the history of questions, but where do I keep them? Should I make a file somewhere? In my mind, I see a file, and in that file are sub-files, but in reality, where's the best place to store them so that when Thursday comes and it's meme day, I just have things to choose from and I can pull from that from a file. Hope that makes sense. Again, thanks for all your hard work and great ideas. Westminster, Colorado.
I can speak to the content buckets. On my iPhone, it will say bread memes. It'll say cookie memes. It'll say birthday
These are
sets.
folders within your gallery?
Folders in my gallery. And I take the time each day, if I find a good bread meme and I'm not ready to execute it, I'll add him to the little folder. So when I'm ready, it's there and I'm not searching or I forget about it. So it is folders and subfolders.
I have folders and subfolders too. I actually create a guide in an app, a web app called Whimsical. So I can kind of storyboard what I want my buckets to look like on each day. Then I create the corresponding folder. I use Google Drive. Actually, I use an external hard drive because it's just easier for me not to download.
Google Drive is how me and Heather talk to each other, though.
Corey and I use Google Drive to transfer files. I'll transfer them to an external hard drive that I back up into the cloud. External hard drives being the risk is that they're easy to access, but they're also easy to lose. But I like to keep everything backed up. But yes, what you're saying, that's actually not a stupid question at all. It's a really strategic question. Keeping things organized in a file. So you could essentially have content buckets as the top level. Second level is Monday through Sunday. And within those, you'll have whatever that bucket is. Now, again, you could use content buckets differently than I do. I could say every Monday is me Monday, but you could say I'm going to have a content bucket when my reach is lower. That'd probably be more strategic, but if you want just the easy, like plug and play one, you could just do the week of what it's looking like. Corey and I have a foundational content bucket, but we also have a policy. If you feel like posting anything at all in addition, feel free.
Please do.
The more the better. Sometimes I'll be like, Corey, have you not felt inclined to post anything? And
as far as old podcasts that go obsolete, we actually try to stay away from things that have a timestamp on them. Things that could change is like how Facebook calculated reviews. It used to be stars. Now it's recommend, don't recommend. Google Business Profile is always in a state of change.
The names have even changed.
The names have changed, but the foundations of the things we talk about on the podcast are what we try to do is pretty standard and not obsolete in any of those.
The concepts of it are universal. The niche names, that's going to, like, Google Business Profile change. Facebook ads have changed.
Google Plus obsolete.
So that kind of stuff. But the marketing concept, I think we do a decent job of keeping it.
Trying to,
keeping it a little broad and not like here when you log in, there's a button on your right and it says this. Now the Cookie College courses, they do become obsolete because I'm literally recording my screen web app and it changes constantly, which is annoying.
But Heather does try to stay up on that. That's why she's actually redone the Facebook ads, because Facebook ads had a change that we had to go delete the old course and create the new course.
A great example, I'll tell everyone to use Facebook Planner. We'll say that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Now Facebook Planner has added a feature where you can cross-post to stories.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best use to stories.
No.
We do it that way because I don't want to put my face on it. But yeah, now you can, when you schedule your Instagram and Facebook post through Planner, it can post it to your Facebook and Instagram stories at the same time. That's not included in that podcast. However, I can't go back in time and update the podcast. It's still worth the listen. When I say use Facebook Planner, now I could say use Facebook Planner to post to your stories.
Yeah.
Great question. Okay, speaking of the Vendy Blendy, how many days do we have until, how many days?
How many days till the 29th?
Until November 29. How many do you think? Just say a number.
Hold on.
Just say a number.
16.
17. Ah! So the Vendy Blendy is a 1-year sales event that only happens in November, only happens on Black Friday, only happens for 24 hours, only happens in a Facebook group.
Yeah.
It is the defined embodiment of the word FOMO. And this year, like Corey mentioned earlier in this podcast, it is going to be what everyone is rumoring, the best Vendy Blendy on record.
Honestly, guys, the lineup. So we're shoring everything up as we enter these last 17 days. And the lineup, the discounts, the door prizes, the ambiance. It is,
Corey and I said on the walk today,
the best Vendy Blendy.
This will almost be the one, and I know we said it last year, but this one will be the one I don't think will top.
Because they're all giving more of a discount.
There is so many great shops with so many great websites with so again, the Vendy Blend, this is the 4th year, but the first 3 years it was always offered 20%.
And you know what? Someone, bless your soul, did bring up that, hey, people are still running the 20% even after the Vendy Blend.
And Corey and I said, how embarrassing is that?
That is very true.
Disarm, delight. Yeah. So anyway, we said that is a great point. Some of these shops are only running this sale that day, but how embarrassing is for us to be like, the best sale in the world.
Only can find it in the one group. No,
and everywhere else.
So what we did was we asked them, hey, if you would like to be in the Vendy Blendy this year, it's 25% off or more. We know that is killer. So what we did to alleviate, because we love small
people think that we're stealing,
we lessened the entry fee
by 2/3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So the door prizes are affected by the lessening, but we were like, people love door prizes, but the odds of winning one are 1 in 10,000.
But everyone can win when it's 25% off.
Everyone wins when the discount goes. Yes. So we're like, okay, we can come off the door prizes. Still haven't announced them in the group yet. I said if we, what's the pending
did you
number?
See? I'll look what you say. I'll look what you say.
It's setting up to be great. I have 78 vendors signed up. I'm working with
50. It's 5,020.
I need to get to 5,059, and then I'll tell everybody.
We'll get it today.
So we're having 10 door prizes, 10 big door prizes, but that doesn't include the vendor's own door prizes. In fact, it does include Corey and my door prize.
I know.
And we'll be doing door prizes as well, which I valued at. So the current door prizes valuation, and that includes the less of their payments, the registration dollars. That even includes less. We're at quite a bit. Did you get back to me with my shop announcements? So I'm looking at a minimum of $17,000 in door prizes. And I know I'm missing more numbers.
Does that not include the ones that we're doing?
That includes all of it. That is every door prize. Okay. Our door prize is actually recalculated. It will count up to almost $2,000 because it's a year in the college, a year in the cookie class kits, all of the cutters from 2023 and all the cutters in 2024. And that'll be 4 different door prizes.
Right.
So a lot of people, and the vendors, I got to compliment my people, right?
I know.
So Corey and I always like to see if we can get the vendors to play against each other to up the ante. And they did.
This is a phrase I heard this week. If they shenaned before, they will shenan again.
That's so funny. So what happened was, I think it was one Smart Cookies and Crafts was like, you know what? I was going to do 30 physical cutters or 30 STLs. Yeah. I'm doing 30 physical cutters and 30 STLs. And then Lizzie was like, I want to add a 3D printer. Yes. And then the cookery was like, hey, listen, for every sale, I'm adding Bambi Bentley just emailed me. I haven't actually posted this one. She was like, I'm going to 40% and a free gift with every purchase. And then the Miller's wife was like, I had typed 45. Let's do 50. Let's do 50% off. So, and then the one lady was doing Baking Me Crazy was doing the discount on. So there's one exemption for these vendors. And we had created this last year when some vendors are like, I can discount everything but the wholesale because the wholesale agreement I can't touch. So we did exempt them. But one lady was like, I messaged Sugar Art and I said, I want to run 20% off. And they're like, yeah, okay.
Nice.
We'll make the exception.
Yes.
So really these vendors are coming
They really
in,
are trying.
swinging.
Yeah.
And the thing, and it's funny because someone pointed this out. Someone's like, if they're doing that, cookie cutters by Nori's, like, let's go 30%.
Wow.
Somebody had said, if they're doing this and we're still 3 weeks away, like usually this is the 3 days before where they start getting crazy. So she's like, what's going to happen?
I know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
But the Vendy Blendy, if you would like to join and be eligible for the door prizes, no purchase necessary. You have to look up the Vendy Blendy Sugar Cookie Marketing on Facebook. It's a group. We will all pend until November 29th at 12:01 a.m. The deals are shoppable for 24 hours.
If you're wondering if you're going to be confused, I will have a pinned video that tells you everything you need to know, and I'll constantly remind you throughout the day.
If you're like, oh, I'll come back later tonight, here's the thing. The group closes down, and Heather deletes everything in it.
It's 24 hours. It's 24 hours Eastern Standard Time.
It's literally just 24 hours.
No exceptions.
There's no rain checks. There's no, they have to extend a discount.
You can't talk about it in the main group either. So it is truly within that day. The door prizes, now I've firmed it up, will be chosen at 9 p.m. And then you have 7 days to redeem it. Yes. So I'll have a spreadsheet for that, even though, and you can access
But you do want to stay in the group because if you're tagged at 9 p.m., start looking for your notifications. See if you're being tagged.
10 big door prizes just sponsored by their registration dollars. Then all the vendors who are offering door prizes, which I think only 4 opted out.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting it past that they opt back in.
I know.
And then we have just some fun stuff throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then I'll have some threads, like some prompt threads. We tried that last year, really liked how it went. Yeah. So you guys can't make posts that day, but you can talk to each other. And, and then my request for you is if you do enjoy this discount, support the vendors even if you're not shopping from them. And you can do that by liking, commenting, hearting, encouraging. Yeah. Just thanking them for being there.
Even if you're not buying one single thing, just a comment on their post because they're the only ones that can post in the group that day, can help a post trend, can help people find something they were looking for. And it really shows out for the people that you like the most.
And if we can get them to show up and shop, if they feel like they've been appreciated, they'll come back next year. So you guys are doing us a service by us doing you guys a service and us all doing the vendors.
But everything's coming together.
It's coming together. It's coming together. So I think, and I just have those 2 final vendors that are taking forever to sign up.
Yeah.
But we are closed on new vendors. I thought the Vendy's response was really great this year. Yes. So really appreciate everyone who has been interested in this. It's going to be a blast.
I cannot wait.
Are we meeting at the mall that day?
As per usual.
I like to see the Black Friday shopping. Why mayhem exists on the internet. Moving on to the Cookie College. The Cookie College will be, and I'm going to draw this back to the Vendy Blendy, the Cookie College will be the cheapest it's never been. If you're a current Cookie College member, I will be teaching a Facebook Live next Monday on how you can also snag these deals. Yes, you can. Everything is always open to current and past members. No. I'll explain to you what the math is. I'll do the math for you, whether this makes sense for you or not, how to do it, because you will have to do it on Black Friday.
Yes.
Because it will be the only day that we ever run this.
Right.
Past and present, future. So the Cookie College, if you're interested in signing up for it, you can pre-shop it at thecookiecollege.com. It is a lot.
Yeah.
I actually did a Facebook Live on it last week on Tuesday.
Yeah, I believe so.
And it was the Cookie College, what it is, kind of what you get, and what the deals will be, and how you save a ton of money. Once you sign up for the Cookie College in that grandfathered $63, cheapest it's never been pricing. I cannot raise the price on you.
Yeah.
You also, though, let's say someone was like, well, I'm not sure I want to sign up for yearly. The yearly is the best deal because you automatically get an additional 2 months free in addition to this cheapest it's never been pricing. And they're like, well, I'm not sure I can pay all that much right then. And I was like, well, if you get your foot in at the $63 a month tier, at any time you can switch up to the yearly tier because you're grandfathered within those 2 pricing tiers.
Nice.
And the way the platform works, they're related. So 63 and 630. Yeah. So you can say, well, I'm just going to get my toe in at 63 for a month. And let's say then I make my Christmas money.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to upgrade and get my 2 months free at that cheapest it's never been. You could pull that in December. You can do it at any time during your active membership.
We'll use that as our Cookie College part of the podcast. What you just said. Instead of giving them another, what is the Cookie College part?
Yes. This is that part I'm doing.
But you segued into the Vendy.
Yeah, I said as we talk about the cookie college, I want to talk about it in relation to the Vendy blending.
And we're moving on to our sponsors.
Sponsors are Eddie, the edible food printer. Not a part of the Vendy. I know you guys are thinking that I'm going to pull him out of my butt. Not this year. I tried. I did try. Yeah. I hate to disappoint you guys. Freddie and Eddie are off the table. However, Eddie is a direct-to-food printer. It's what Corey keeps talking about when she had those big corporate orders. We went to Neiman Marcus last week, and Corey dropped off Eddie printed cookies. Mm-hmm. It is a machine for the person who wants a corporate line of work, and it pays for itself so quickly. Yeah. As long as you market it, because everything comes down to marketing. If you want to learn more about Eddie, you can go to Eddie Printers user group on Facebook. They're also on Instagram. The website is primera.com. It ain't cheap. He's $3,000. Yeah. But Corey's pulling in thousands in sales that she wouldn't have otherwise been able to do because Eddie really does streamline workflow. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to pipe 8 dozen logos. No. I could only print those. So it's been fantastic for that. Yeah. The next is The Backers Co., previously known as AE Core Backers, but they're in a name change. The Backers Co. is food-safe backdrops that are perfect for bakers. Whether you have very buttery cookies or you pour chocolate fudge on them, they are waterproof, scratch-resistant, matte, food-safe, and
file your taxes. Now, what I really like about them is their owners have always been a supporter of the Vendy Blendie.
Yes.
But they do it right because they run 30% off their whole shop this one day only. Yeah. Right now, 20% off if you use code SUGARCOOKIE. Yeah. At checkout, but Black Friday.
I know.
30% off. Yeah. That would be the time. And I can see people are already shaping up. So what I think might happen with them is they may sell out of their best sellers. So if you want to snag those now, or if you want to stay up till midnight, might be worth it. But AE Core Backers, rebranded to the Backers Co., really nice company, has been supporting this podcast for a very long time, but we'll be in the Vendy Blendie. Next up, also in the Vendy Blendie, Bakety Bake.
Bakety Bake, which is a meringue powder. It's what I use for all mine. It already has vanilla extract, white food coloring, and corn syrup in there, and that gives it a softer bite. She's never before in my history of eyeballs done 25% off for this. She does sell out. So if you were thinking about trying it, she has 1 pound bags. She did, I don't know if it will be at the Vendy Blendie, but she did have like little tester bags you could buy. Yeah. But the 5 pound bag is that's what you want to aim for if she's on your list. It'll be 25% off. If you don't want it to sell out and you need it, you can use code TWINS and get 10% off now.
Very nice. Well, that takes us through this podcast. Do you have a Twinterest?
Do I have a Twinterest? Nar, your cat wants in. Do you have a Twinterest?
Well, my Twinterest was experiences. Okay, here's the thing. Some of you guys think the Twinterest need to be a purchased product. I was looking for a signature scent. Corey's talking to Frank, who's been upset that he's been locked out of this room. I was looking for a signature scent. Okay, Corey?
Yes.
Sephora sale ended yesterday. Yeah. So Corey and I were like, let's go to the mall and smell the back wall of perfumes.
You know, what do you do when you're
I'm going to be honest, most of it, sorry, I'm getting a treat for the cat. Most of it smelled like clean bathrooms, which is not a problem.
A little bathroomy smell. A lot of it, the one thing I liked about Sephora, and I've never spent any time on their perfume wall because I don't wear it. Back. It says like warm and fuzzy gourmand or light and airy. Nothing said bathroom scent, but that's what we got from a few of them.
So Corey and I were smelling like you'd never smelled before. With the
Heather smelled like just about everything in the back of the store.
Right. And then Corey and I'm like, I'm not sure any of this is speaking to me on a deeper level. Yes. But we go to this one smell, right? And we're like, I said, whoa, this is very nice.
What was it called?
I can look it up.
I can't remember, but it's called Ginger Biscuit was the scent. I can't remember the maker. When we saw it, we were like, this is the one, let's grab it. It's sold out everywhere. So we must be late to the Ginger Biscuit game.
Makes me feel like if it's sold out everywhere,
then it must be really good. And I will be honest, you smell like a little bit like a gingerbread, but like an elegant gingerbread.
Right. I've got to pick up the name. Here it is. I got it from, I don't know, hopefully I don't get ripped off here. I know nothing about this website, Cult Beauty. It was the only place that still had it in stock. And it was Joe Malone London Ginger Biscuit de Cologne.
De Cologne.
But I would say it was so funny to me. Maybe it'll smell terrible. I thought it smelled great. It's not amazing. But like the fact that you liked it, I liked it. It was sold out everywhere. That means a lot of people liked it.
People are saying they love it.
So I told Corey, I will be bathing in this.
Yes.
I will be offensively, and I've never had someone stop me and say, I like how you smell, which should be a tell of another thing. But what if this was the one?
I know.
What if this is the scent?
I can't wait. It smelled delicious. If anything, I love it for the holidays.
Watch it be backward and then cancel the order because too many people ordered. But it was a very ginger. It's like, like you want to smell like vanilla, but sometimes vanilla is like a little too sweet.
It is.
Ginger is like smelling like peppermint and holidays without being too directly on the nose.
It was like a holiday spice must.
Spice?
Yeah. Because ginger is a spice.
I would love to know if they ship it out.
I would love to know as well.
I'll keep you guys posted. If you ever see me and you want to stop and tell me I smell delectable, please do.
I used perfume today that I had in the drawer, and my husband was like, wow, that was strong. I said, in a bad way or a good way? He was like, a very strong way.
Well, it wasn't a no.
I know. I can smell it right now. It smells pretty good. It was a hazelnut.
That was my twin twist. And I did the family dinner, which I thought was very fun.
It was.
My voice is annoying. But the private room, just for the amount of people we had, was just 10 or 11.
You couldn't have sat in the main part of the building.
And be heard. No. So I was like, wow, this is a little pricey, but like what a fun way to have dinner.
You know what we didn't order, and I can't believe me and Nate sat down. We didn't order any potatoes or mashed potatoes.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to manage the sign, so Mom had to.
Yeah, but why would you order 3 Brussels sprouts?
Because everyone sounded so enthusiastic.
To me, I can't believe there was no potatoes. I said, oh my goodness,
there
was.
Well, speak up, man. I'll got one.
There was. There was half. Remember the half?
You're making me hungry.
Got to go to lunch.
Yeah, the thin split.
Yes.
Oh, we should have done
it. And mashed potatoes.
It was kids in the candy store because we had to reach the minimum. It was the first time everyone had to spend more.
I know.
But I had these heirloom tomatoes with
a big old mozzarella ball.
With burrata. And I would go back for that.
Yeah.
I would go back for that.
I don't want to see someone just ordering an appetizer there.
But it was so good. Like, where is this tomato growing that it tastes this fresh in the middle of winter? Where did it come from?
It was very, very good. It was very, very good.
What was your twin twist?
That, I guess. I didn't have anything. I haven't been doing anything.
I meant to say, there's the final public-facing live on tomorrow. It is the final Vendy Blendy Q&A, which is the question and answer for you guys. I'll come up with some preset questions, kind of common questions that we see.
Let's really help Heather.
I think I might have to make a thread.
And get some questions
to
her.
What would, if this was your first year in the Vendy Blendy, what do you wish you knew that you didn't?
I'll be in the comment section asking questions.
Because it is a weird thing. It is overwhelming.
Yeah.
But it's shaping up.
One thing that's so annoying about your lives, you really have a bad memory. You'll say something and not remember 2 seconds later. So I'll be like, in the first second. And then like into your live in the first second. And you'll be like, Corey's saying in the first second. Don't know what that means.
Do you understand there's a delay?
I know, but in the first second? I was
in the first second means nothing to me in explaining it to me. I do have the world's worst memory.
Yeah.
Wait, who are you again? Yeah. What is this? We're on a podcast? Never heard of her. What do you do there? I will be answering my own question. But there's a delay when you do a Facebook Live to the comment section that you can only see. I think it's 30 seconds.
Yeah. That's why I told Heather, go back up to the questions you haven't.
And the screen is this big to see your comments. So I'm like seeing word by word as it goes up. But if you want to check out more of the vendors, Corey's actually been doing a phenomenal job of reviewing some of their products they want you to know.
Since time changed and it gets dark at 4:30.
Wait, I was like stretching. I was like, it's 5:30.
I said, oh my goodness. I honestly went to bed at 6:45 last night.
I knew you were in bed. I sent Corey any gossip I want to send or any factoids or any questions. I even sent her a Vendy Blendy update last night, and it's just not been checked, not open.
And I woke up, it says you slept for 10 hours and 25 minutes.
That is insane.
Delicious.
Don't you think there's a problem?
I think I'm going to live forever.
Yeah, probably. I can't remember anything, so I'm not the right way to go. Whatever I'm doing, don't do it. I think that
guys.
The rest of this month will be a vibe, and then we'll casually melt off into December.
And
there's a lot of, this is just a baking. So some people are like, the Vendy Blendy's on a day where I have a vendor event. I'm like, it's 24 hours, so come to Mama.
Excuse me, I got bigger things to do more than take your money.
Don't buy my cookies, I'm too busy.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week.